Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again, or for your first time, welcome to Guru Grit. It's a place for learning. Today we'll have an astrology video brought to you from one of my few happy places, so I hope you enjoy it. It's a busy day at the park. I certainly hope that everyone's enjoying themselves today, wherever you are, office, home, regardless. So a continuation of Saturn through the houses today. We'll do that. And then there's just so much to cover, and I'm gonna try to be mindful of the time because like 30-minute videos, though they're pretty informative, it's just too much to sift through. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best to try to spend 1 to 2 minutes per sign, though I'll probably struggle with that. I mean, house. Anyways, let's begin. So if you'd like to know more, I'll link the earlier Saturn. And I'm having trouble with this series. I'm having to re-record so many. I've lost like an hour's worth of content, so I don't know what it is. I think maybe Saturn doesn't want me saying anything. I don't know. But I'm going to do an in-depth course eventually. Hopefully it will be out by the end of the year. But it's just good to know. I mean, it's just like very useful. He's a useful planet, as I mentioned in the last series, what he rules. So let's get into it. So naturally, we'll start off with all the things he rules, and we will go through the houses and how you can interpret that for yourself. The video I'm going to make right after this is going to be astrology questions that I get on TikTok, but I can't answer them all on there because there's too much like repetition and it's just a bit much. So I want to do like a bulk upload so like everything's just in one place. It'll be easier. Okay, without further ado, let's do it. Saturn. What is Saturn? He's like tasks, hard work, difficulty, certainly not charm, but he's efficient. He likes efficiency. He likes reality. He likes things that function. Okay, they work. He wants you to work, so he wants you to work on yourself, to be self-disciplined. So I did the Saturn return video, so I hope that makes sense for people. It's important to be self-sufficient. It's important to be a person that can function in the world as an adult, like as they intended, okay? So Saturn in the first house, this is interesting. Saturn in the first, if you have him close to your ascendant, I use primarily whole sign system. So if he's in the first house, he's in the same sign as your ascendant. So that's just how I do it, okay? So the first house is the body, it's your self-image, and it's actually the house that rules your ability to overcome troubling times. Okay, because if it's your body, like, you don't just use it to enjoy your life and eat food. Sometimes you have to defend yourself, okay? You've got to like pop someone right in the mouth when they're being, out of line or something. Not condoning violence. I did not just say that. But you know what I mean? So Saturn in the first, there is a lot going on today at the park. I don't even know where to look. I'm sorry. There's just a lot to take in. It's been a trip. Anyway, this is my third time starting this video, and I'm determined to continue because if I'm distracted one more time, it's never gonna get done. And there's work to do. It's like very Saturnian. I must do it, okay? So Saturn in the first house, excuse me. Saturn on the ascendant is generally a bit challenging. Okay, he's a very cold planet. He can be nasty, So the first is the body. So naturally, the first thing, I said I would keep it to a minute. It's not gonna happen, is it? Who cares? I'll timestamp these so you can just sift through what you need, okay? But it can give, in some cases, even by transit, especially if you get a solar return reading, you'll know, okay? It can give aches and pains to the body, or being born a certain way, maybe like asthma as a child, or something that kind of like slows you down or doesn't make you as active for whatever reason, okay? So you have to analyze the whole thing. But generally, the person is a person who's very serious. And if they're not, then they're taken seriously, which I quite like. And you can kind of smell it, especially like you can sense it on like younger people when they're really Saturnian, because they have gravitas. They have a sense of responsibility, and they somehow just command respect. Like, I don't know, they're just very stern, and they're not like a clown. Like, I'm a jester, like to have fun, I like to joke, make sure that's on silent, excuse me. And then they're not like that. Like, they have a good sense of humor. It's probably very dry, it's very observant, but they're, if you don't know them, probably not gonna go along with like whatever. What it's really good for, again, is handling life, okay? They can do things that are quite hard. They don't make a lot of excuses for themselves. They just get to it. And I find that he's kind of like that in all the angular houses, because it's like really important. The angular houses, I should do a houses series. I've been saying that for a year. I really want to do a course because houses are so important and so underutilized. But when he's in very sensitive, the 4 houses, if you have a planet in any of them, any planet, it kind of gives you like an identifying factor, like a tattoo, like something people can see, right? It's like very obvious. So when it's in the first house, then it's like, boom, you know, it's, oh my God, Saturn is there. So it can make a person quite like deep, quite strong, be a deep thinker, you know, somebody who's not superficial, right? They're very deep, they're very substantial individual, no nonsense person, you know, they can achieve a lot. That's the other thing too. So naturally with this can give some issues with delay in good relationships. They probably fare better with an older partner. Can give obviously issues with siblings. If you have Saturn in the first house, you can have one sibling that just kind of is like, oh, it's like a pain in the neck, you know, or you don't really understand each other. This gets better with time, especially like mid-30s and 40s onwards. But when you're young, it kind of sucks, okay? Can give delay in focus of career or status in the world, okay? All in all, it's okay. It's a really 50-50 placement. If you take the good with the bad, you'll be rewarded. If you take the bad with the good, you'll be rewarded, but you definitely have to work hard on it, okay? And just, you probably won't suffer fools gladly, so just, you also can't fake a lot of things when Saturn's really influencing a chart. You can just tell how the person feels. Like, he's somewhere for me, I can't hide how I feel. Like, if I don't like you, I've had to like teach myself composure, because it would just like show up on my face. Like, it's very organic, you know? I had someone say that to me. They went, it's so organic when you don't like someone. It just, like, it really comes from your heart. And I was like, I don't know if that's the best thing I've ever heard, but it's very true. I couldn't argue. Okay, second house is parents, values, house of money, eating habits, okay? Can give trouble with expressing the self, speech impediments, okay? Under eating, like restriction, struggling with things like that, struggling with excess. Money worries is a big one, and I do have a friend with this, and I said, like, what's your relationship like with your parents or whatever? Like, how do you see them? Like, how do you see yourself in the world? And her Saturn's in a really good sign, and she went to, they had me to sweep floors. Like, I honestly, I don't know why they had me. Like, it's a very cold answer, you know, but it's very, Saturn will do that. And he will also make you like a no-nonsense parent as well. I think I've mentioned this previously. Seriously, today, I wish I could show you. The park is on fire. It's the most interesting thing ever. It's very anti-Saturn. It's very funny. Anyway, third house, okay? So if you've got Saturn in the second, go easy on your mom, okay? Expect the unexpected. Control your money, but not to the extent where you're really, really paranoid, okay? But it can affect gains. So just go with the flow. If things are delayed, it's okay. Your time will come, okay? Third is siblings, so naturally can you have a problem with siblings, but I really like him in the third house. I mean, like a lot. So the third is the house of motion, and Saturn is the slowest planet. His orbit is slow. As we know, if you know, you know, I use the original planet. So with him, actually, I predominantly use them, okay? It's like the opposite effect, but because he's so harsh and the third house is so angry, it's one of my favorites. It's the house of bravery, self-effort. You see good athletes, good fighters, you know, even litigators, okay? And the third is actually the house of test-taking. It's your test-taking ability, okay? Can you endure? Can you analyze? Do you have logic? How's your memory? Can you fight? Are you brave? Because it rules the hands, arms, and our shoulder blades. So in olden times, you would need to, you know, wield a weapon. Can you defend yourself? Can you fight? Can you fend people off? Can you attack them? So when you put Saturn here, it can make a person really, really vigilant. You know, like if they want to learn something and it's difficult, like sifting through medical texts, they will just sit and focus and they won't leave until the job is done. You know, they can excel in like needlework, IV injections, like whatever is like really finicky and detailed and difficult, he can give them prowess to just like slow their mind and like zero in on something, and it can make them crazy ambitious, okay? So it's pretty entertaining. I find that one interesting. Anyway, I also have wondered, because of the contrast of energies, if it gives people sleeping problems. I do wonder if that's true, if they sleep too much or not enough, okay? And a person who can be so focused that even something like children, if they have them, they might feel, or like having children, they could feel get in the way of their ambition or something like that, you know? So it's like, not saying that you won't have them. I'm not saying that. Please listen to what I'm saying. Hey, people are like, I have kids and I don't care. Oh my God. I'm just telling you, okay? It could be like, sometimes people really want like a family, but it's not like the greatest thing in the world for them, okay? That's all I mean by it. It's like you have a bigger mission somehow, okay? And then the fourth house, okay, angular house, Saturn's not particularly strong here. And the fourth is the mother and your home, okay, like assets where you can live in. So like cottages, okay, van life, whatever. So generally it's really, really tender. I did in one of my first videos ever, somebody asked about serial killers. I'll try to link it if I remember, but it's a really common placement for people who have like violent streaks because they were deprived of some kind of like nourishment from their mom. If your mom is not a disciplinarian, if your mom is not really tough, not really strict, if they're tender, if they're loving, they could be both, then it can be, especially if moon is influencing too, or like in Cancer, so like Saturn in Cancer in the fourth, then the mom could have grown up poor, had really terrible parents, or very uncomfortable living situation. You know, the mother could have had a really cold house, outdoor plumbing, no plumbing indoors, you know, outhouses, whatever. So just like a hard life, like mother really struggled and then maybe tried to protect you from that, and in doing so pushed you too hard. So something just like didn't really click, okay? But it can cause a success formation. So it can make you really ambitious, and it can make you really straightforward, because the fourth is counselors, okay? So Saturn can make you wise and really strategic, extreme logic, so you could just solve problems really quickly. When I see this in the charts of women, I often say you're the voice of reason in your friend group. I often say, you know, you say things in a very blunt manner, you're misunderstood. Like if a man did it, he's a boss. If you do it, you're a you-know-what, you know, but it's just that person's nature. They just don't like faff about. Like if they're upset, they're like, I'll be upset later, but we have to fix this now, you know? Okay, fifth house, another thing I wanted to say, you know, just take good care of your health, because it does aspect the first of the body. I'll tell you, so from my own life, I have Saturn in the fourth, and Saturn aspects my sun, and sun, Surya, in Vedic astrology rules the bones, and it's in the first house of the body, and in my Vedic chart, you know, it makes a lot of sense when you see it, but my doctor said I might have hugged myself in the womb. Maybe my soul knew I'd be a Scorpio moon and I wasn't getting any fucking hugs when I was born. So basically I was wound up like this, okay? I hugged myself for a long time and I didn't develop collarbone. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I have a fully formed collarbone on my right side of my body, and it's like a little baby one. It doesn't even like stick out here. It's like, it's literally non-existent. It's just flat. So something like that. So be mindful if you have Saturn in the fourth house, you know, if he's aspecting sun, no extreme activities. I wish someone told me when I was little I was obsessed with climbing trees, which is funny because I'm really scared of heights now, but it's to fall out of them all the time. I have the scars to prove it, you know, and it's like I never broke anything because I'm extremely lucky, touch wood, one of my phobias. So yeah, just be careful, don't do anything crazy, and be mindful of the transit of your disease lord, and be mindful of the transits that impact health, because he does aspect the house of health and well-being, as well as the first, which is the body. Okay, in a sense this is very helpful. It can make you have a lot of stamina, okay? Fifth house, Saturn in the fifth is obviously children, creative self-expression. Here I find people feeling guilty about having hobbies and doing things for themselves. I've observed this. I don't know if it's like women who work and have kids, they feel bad about taking time for themselves, but I see it even in younger women and younger men too. They'll say like, you know what, I have $200 left at the end of the month, I've taken care of all my business, I could go see my friends, I could, you know, get this for my hobby, get this for this music thing, this for this arts thing, but like I feel bad, I just feel guilty, and it's like, oh, you have to enjoy life or you'll go crazy and like go full shopaholic. You'll just like relapse into some bad, you know, stuff. So treat yourself okay. Generally, you know, with time, could have kids later, could fall in love later, and this is generally people who don't like funny business when it comes to dating, you know, they're like, well, they're not like, they're very much, if it rains, I'm gonna rage, because I just sat down to do this. And Saturn videos are always getting interrupted. It rained during the last one too. Anyways, who cares, moving on. Yeah, don't dampen my joy, Saturn, I'm talking about the fifth house. Anyways, so the fifth, you know, when they date, they probably want someone older with money who does what they say they're gonna do. If they say they're gonna call you, they call. They say they remember your birthday, they remember. It's just, it's not rocket science to them. They're like, this is easy, what's taking so long? Da, 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 da. And they can like date with a purpose. Like they date to marry, otherwise they think dating is stupid, you know? Again, might have kids later, and might take parenting very seriously, can have karma with their children, especially the firstborn child. They could be a bit difficult, very bound to each other, or something like that. Okay, and this one's very interesting for love, because, you know, he's pressing on the seventh with his aspect, so really could like tall people, might marry someone tall as well. Okay, Saturn in the 6th is my personal favorite. I just really love this. I mean, like, I'm not saying that just to say it. I don't have it. It's not like I have anything to gain from it. I just really like him here. I think he performs exceptionally well. He, because he does rule karma, I've heard people say things like, isn't it like where you have Saturn is how people get punished when they wrong you? I'm like, this is so far from the truth. Like, I'll honestly, one day I'll just go crazy and start screaming at the camera because I hear so much stupid garbage. This is what I say, like, protect yourself against misinformation, okay? Astrology is an esoteric tool, like it's literally given to us from the divine. Why would the divine give you something to like punish people? That's not how God works. It's infinite love. No offense, but idiots, like what's wrong? Shut up. Anyway, moving on. That's like the true Saturn nature. Very dualistic. Sixth house is amazing because he can make you really ambitious. He can make you very, very forthright. You know, do a lot of good things for people who are disadvantaged. You can be an advocate, like an amazing social worker, animal welfare, you know, adopt pets, advocate for people who struggle, like children's, okay, so a divorce lawyer, divorce court, things like that. Even healing, you know, you could be a doctor. Another thing is health, you know, he's holding it down. So he's like telling diseases it's really not time to shine while he's in that house. He's kind of holding off a lot of bad stuff. And if it happens, then he's in your corner. Okay, so this is what I mean about karma. This is pretty much the only placement, in my humble opinion. Anyway, that, oh my God, a doggo, 2 doggos, it's amazing. Where he's very, very helpful, okay? So this is the house of accusations. The 6th house is where people accuse you of things, they attack you. So if you've got this beast of a planet there, he's just gonna backfire on them anyway, so just let it, okay? From this placement, he's also slowing down the effects of the 8th house, which is sudden events and accidents. So he's really he performs so well in the 6th. I just can't, even the 12th, he's slowing down the 12th, which is the house of loss. He can help you discharge debts when he's in the 6th house. When he transits the 6th house, he can make you healthier. He can make you more financially sound. Okay, he can make you healthy. Just love it. I love it so much. Moving on. The 7th. So the 7th, again, an angular house. I discussed boundaries, people pleasing, not knowing when to let something stop running its course, okay? It's dead in the water, leave it, okay? What do they say? Don't stop poking that dead horse or something with a stick. It's kind of like that. But, you know, because the 7th is our marriage partner and all other people, it can attract, you know, a person that you marry of stature, so quite tall, and it can make you marry later. And another thing is he's aspecting the 9th house, and the 9th is the condition of the marriage, okay? Some people say it's a second marriage as well. Anyway, there's different schools of thought, but whatever. He's aspecting that, so maybe, you know, you marry later or your second marriage is better. Second child could have karma with them. But generally, they seem to marry when they're a bit older, in their 30s, late 20s, 30s, and they tend to marry someone quite tall, someone quite serious. Maybe they're widowed, maybe they're divorced. But age difference, generally speaking, age difference for Saturn, the general thing you say when you say older is it's going to be around 7 years. Okay, it could be 8.5, could be 9, could be 6, but just letting you know. Okay, business partnerships as well. Sorry, I never drink on camera, but it's like weirdly humid and cold at the same time, and I'm just like very thirsty. But you know, could make you really, what's the word I'm going to use? Astute, you know, really good in like business. I quite appreciate that. Yeah, that's how I would put it. Studious as well, just like somebody with discernment, you know, who just like knows what's up, okay? But don't fall into the trap of like dependent relationships and overdoing and overgiving. There's a balance to everything, all right? But it's not bad. Saturn is strongest in the 7th house. I don't know why people fear him there. He does best. He has something called directional strength, which we can discuss in a separate video. It comes from Vedic astrology, and it's called Digbala, and he's most powerful in the 7th house, okay? So that's why he's such a nuisance, okay, in the 1st. But he's strong in other houses. He's strong in 3, 6, 10, 11 as well, okay? But 7th, icing on the cake, okay? If you're gonna have the meanest planet somewhere in your chart, you kind of want him to be in a good house. So these people, I don't worry about you at all. All right, and no, it doesn't mean you'll be divorced. Divorce, you have to see particular signs for divorce. I have a divorce and astrology video, so there's your answer. 8th house, I also like him because it's kind of like weird, you know, it's like a weird house. It's the deepest house. So put the planet of like everything realistic in there. It kind of makes sense. I mean, it's not really according to the rules, but according to me, I like him. He's an occult planet. It's an occult house. I'm obviously an occultist, so I just like it. I just really like it there. But you know, it's things that happen quickly, suddenly, without warning, so he can chill that out. Another thing to remember is the 8th can show our lifespan, all right? So very generally, but you'll see, and I know people don't like this, I say Saturn in the 8th house gives a long life to the native. It's called like a naturally long life, so let's say like 80, 85 years old and onwards, okay? And so many people in TikTok were like, God, no, I don't want to live a long time. Come on, it's cute. You have a nice sense of humor, but at the same time, it's not so bad, okay? In-laws can be quite old-fashioned, maybe traditional. Maybe you've known them before, you've incarnated with them before if you have Saturn in the 8th house. I would also check the dispositor of the 8th house to see more. But in any case, all in all, very good for research. Very, very good for research, you know. Depending on what house he rules, it can really show if you can make a lot of money doing very, very strange things. Like I just finished watching Finger Strangs. I finished watching Stranger Things just this morning, and I thought, I wonder how many people working in that Hawkins laboratory have like Saturn in the 8th house. It's like weird, it's governmental, it's literally underground, it's like very 8th house, and you throw Saturn in the mix, perfect, because it's so hidden, and he rules like hidden things sometimes. So perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. 9th house, also Saturn in the 8th. Sometimes you have delays in career, okay, so don't worry about that too much. You could have very harsh parents, issues with saving money, but like I said, it comes to fruition. He's here to teach us, so it will come, don't worry. 9th house, oh, this one's like the daddy issues placement. You get people who maybe their father just kind of didn't really get them or didn't really invest their emotional energy in them. Whatever the case may be, okay? But this one's interesting because the 9th is your beliefs, okay? So you can, this is very generally, I don't want to like hear anything, okay? I don't want to hear it. But you can marry a little bit later with this. Probably encourage it, honestly, it's best for you. Secondly, the dad thing I mentioned. Third, philosophy. So this is the house of your beliefs. It's the house of luck. It's the house that gives us some kind of like divine grace. It's the house of dharma, like the right thing to do. So it can make a person very ethical, you know, and have convictions, like they really believe what they believe. They can also change beliefs sometimes. Maybe they have their Saturn return and they grew up like, you know, really, really Mormon or Baptist or something, and then one day they went to a tarot person and they're like, this is all heresy, I will not hear it, I will not speak of this, it's evil. And then like a year later, they're like, okay, I don't believe it, but you know what? It's not that bad. And I just like, you lighten up somehow. Maybe you go from the new age full blast into like the Bible or something, you know, you can like reverse things. But generally, I have also found this to be pretty decent for people who believe strongly, okay? I know a couple people who have this and they are grade A occultists. Like they're very good at what they do. And they're not showy. They're not like shaking jars of chili oil, trying to hex people. It's so cringe. They don't like clickety clack their crystals. Like they're just like very good occultists because of their energy. They're just like very good at like manifesting and manipulating and things like that. Truly disciplined, you know? Okay, this can also be very good for education, for learning of any kind, you know, getting a master's, working hard, okay. It depends on a lot of things, but it can be like traditional university, college, certificates, training, job, professional development, etc., or like self-taught. You can self-cultivate, you can do well to be friends with foreigners, to travel, you know, maybe even astrally travel or something, okay? But generally, you know, the person's pretty good at doing it themselves, like just self-reliance, I feel, is quite nice, okay? 10th, he does good. He does well in the 10th house. He's very good. And not as good as I think people think. Excuse me again. Maybe not as good as people think because they think he rules the 10th sign, so it has to be amazing. Like, it is good. It's just not like the most amazing thing ever. It doesn't like, nothing with Saturn will fall out of the sky and like bless you, you know? But this is what I call the retail worker placement, because for some reason, So often when I see it, I'll ask the person, it'll be like like Saturn and Venus, like fashion. But I'll be like, if you don't own your own brand or something online or like a store, then do you work in retail? And they'll be like, yeah, I work in retail. Like, I'm really happy. I've just done it for a long time, like whatever, right? So it can give long stretches of employment under a corporation, like under somebody else, unless, you know, then one day they snap and maybe they want to be self-employed and leave. But it's very good placement for independence. It's a very good placement for being self-employed. So with the, same with the 1st and the 7th, I'll say. Maybe all angular, but really the 7th and the 10th, Saturn does so well to make a person very ambitious, to want to be self-employed. If not, then you go to work and you don't care. Okay, when you go home, you're home. You just shut off all of that. Okay. But anyway, it's good for making a person resourceful. Like, say you don't make enough money at your job, you'll start to think of other things that you can monetize. Okay, so it's like it is quite powerful, and the results take a while. So pretty much when you're in your 30s, it starts to get a bit better. Oh, it's so cute. Oh my God, there's a couple. Oh my God, so cute. I think he picked her some flowers. She's just holding like one flower and they're walking, and I think he got a bit tired, and then she got tired, they're looking over here, so I can't even like smirk all knowingly like Auntie Momo saw everything or something like that. It's so lame. Alright, anyway, he picked her up. He picked her up and her little flower was just dangling around. So sweet. What a cute couple. Love it. Love to see it. Anyway, so Saturn, maybe that's an omen for Saturn in the 10th house person being a little bit lovesick. Everything's going to work out. I don't even know why I just told you that anecdote. There's just too much going on in the park today. How weird for a Tuesday. Anyways, Saturn in 10th, all in all, good, okay? Very good, so don't worry. Just work hard. That's all he really wants from you. And I also wonder if you have issues sleeping. I'm very curious about that. If you're cool with your mom, I wonder about that as well. And yeah, it's good. It's because the aspects are strong. 11th house, very nice. Again, I get this question quite a bit on TikTok. People worry that they won't make enough money if they have Saturn in the 11th house of gains. But again, you know, knowing a few good people you can network with can take you very far when Saturn's in the 11th. In terms of friends, I see this quite a bit. People struggle with friendships, but you don't need like to know 5, 10, 15 people. You need to know like 2 or 3 good souls and just take them with you. Like, you can go far with just like, what do they say? If you want to go fast, you travel alone. If you want to go farther, you travel with your friends. So just like have a couple of really good people in your corner in life. It could be an older sibling, you know, doesn't matter if Mars is there, male friends, whatever, okay? But just don't sweat all of that like societal hoopla that you have to be popular on Instagram. That's probably not your bag anyway, so okay. From this placement, he does aspect the 5th of children, hobbies, all that fun stuff. So don't be so hard on yourself, because the 5th is also discernment. So it can, excuse me, I don't know, maybe you just need to chill sometimes, spend a little money on yourself, have a bit of fun, a bit of enjoyment, okay? And of course, aspects the 1st, so naturally, just, I suppose, be nicer to yourself, really. That's kind of it. But it's a good house. It's a good house because over time it gets better. That's the important thing to remember about Saturn. Over time, he does just like get juicier. He goes easy on you. The thing about like Saturn returns is like when you think like a child, you perceive the world as a child. And you think anytime, if you want something bad enough, somebody's going to give it to you, right? And Saturn's like, no, you have to give it to yourself. So if you continue thinking like a child when you're 35, 36, 37, you're going to be treated like a child, okay? But if you grow up, you get treated like an adult, okay? So that's the important thing to remember. And then we come to the 12th. So I know in like Western astrology, like Hellenistic astrology, they say it's his house of joy. He's in joy in the 12th. And I've read the reasoning and it's all right. I don't mind it. I get it. It's very humbling. So it's a very humbling placement. But I would argue no planet does well in the 12th house, save for Venus. Okay, she's very creative. But Saturn is our fears, and the 12th house is like the unseen, so it can give an undue paranoia. It can give a person who's afraid of fear itself, and they don't know why they're scared. This is like the top placement for insomniacs, you know? So if you're like scared to go out into the world, to get out of your comfort zone and your boundaries, Saturn in the 12th can be doing that, you know? Another thing though, that could be really well suited, okay, the 12th is travel, like long distance travel, And it's not like a physical house. It's like the house where everything kind of dissolves and disappears. Okay, it's the house of self-undoing, okay? Death of the ego, which is why he's like makes a person really humble, especially if he's like the first ruler, okay? So if you're like an Aquarius rising, Saturn and Capricorn in the 12th, and you probably are just like very grounded, or like just not a blowhole, you know, like really decent and kind or whatever. But it is a house. This is why we need to do the houses series. Should have done that first. Actually, I don't even know if I did it. I don't remember. Whatever. I'll make another one. It's the house where you can travel out of body. So it's not just like long distances as in on Earth. You can astral project, you can have out of body experience, maybe even a near-death experience, okay? But generally, it's people who can master the astral plane and just do well in that sense. And because Saturn can discipline you and he can really humble you there, then you can even be afraid of that. You know, I have a friend who's like, I don't like meditating. Like lying down in a darkened room and remaining conscious is like terrifying to me. I hear that. Saturn and the 12 people, they're like, why would I do that? That is scary. Go ask the Saturn in the 8th house people to practice Reiki, but stay away from me. That's horrible, you know? But it's interesting. And you know, from here, he does aspect the 6th. So it's very good. Again, I think this is good. Okay, so now that we've gone through all the houses, next we will do the signs, and I'll just, yeah, I love Saturn. I just love it. I think you should know about him. You should work with him. You should have fun and enjoy your life. Thank you for being here. I'll try to link all the videos that I mentioned if I remember to do so. I often say that and then I don't remember. So thank you to the people who message me and remind me. Much love to you all. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you are. May you have as much whimsy in your day-to-day life as I have observed people in this park having on this one afternoon. So I love you all. Until next time. Bye-bye.